Hi, everybody. Marie Gervais here with Shift Management, and I'm talking to you today about our monthly featured video cluster from the Multilingual Video Stack library that we offer. And that particular library has a lot of different themes on it. So there are 17 themes just in the first section, in Section A. And just in order to make it easier for you to be able to access the videos according to what your issues are, once a month we're going to feature a cluster of videos and run through them and get your questions. And I'm hoping that you will put your questions and ideas into the chat box, both during the video session and also into the chat box in Multilingual Video Stack, so that we can get your comments. You're also welcome to share resources that we can add that would help other people. If you want to also promote some of your programs, you could put up a list or send a PDF of some things that you're offering, and we can put all of that together into a subscribers resource section. So this is intended to be helpful for you, to be helpful to interact with people who are serving those who are looking for work that because they're new to Canada, those who are managing a diverse workforce, or those who are teaching English language learners, or those who are working in diversity and inclusion and would like to have more resources. So that's what it's for. Today, the topic is small talk, giving an opinion, and providing feedback, on which we have a lot of different videos, but I'm going to feature a few of them for you today. So I'll share the screen and let you know what they are, and we will look at each of those and listen to them, and then you can see what you think. So let's just share the screen. And right now, this is a section that is talking about workplace relationships. And in it, we have a video called Small Talk Initiative and Feedback, and it's divided into 3 different sections. And what's really interesting about this when we did it was that we found out that both newcomers and also young people who were on their first or second job found this quite useful for them. So in fact, a lot of young people who watched it said, oh, that's the mistake that I made at my last job. So I think it can be useful for other groups other than just immigrants. But I think that, yeah, you'll like it. So we're going to look at just the Hindi, not the Hindi, we're going to look at the English version in case there are any issues with things like things that come up in the middle of the video that you don't understand. So we'll do this in English, but you can show them to people in any of these languages. So you can show them in Hindi, Ukrainian, Spanish, French, or Arabic. And also there are some discussion questions underneath that you might like to use, which we'll go over. And there's a great download for this video called Nick Narani's 9 Soft Skills to prepare for Canada, and it's wonderful. He's had millions of people download this. It's a really good resource, and you can download it here by just clicking on that arrow button. If you're interested in accessing any of the languages and there's the subtitles for the languages, you can also download those here. So let's just look at this, and I'm going to give you a new share so that you can see it, and it will be here. I'll just wait for it to come up, and then I will show it to you. It seems to be a little bit slow today, but there we go. All right.
In this clip, we will focus on 3 key interpersonal skills required to succeed in Canadian workplaces. 1. Making small talk. 2. Leadership and initiative. And 3. Understanding Canadian feedback and constructive criticism.
Nick Narani wrote, "There are 9 soft skills that no immigrant should be without." To help make things clear, we're going to illustrate 3 of Nick Narani's tips. Tip 1 is about small talk. It's important to know how to make small talk at work. Every country's small talk is different. Because Canada is such a diverse country, you may see a variety of styles. The first one is typically Anglo-Canadian. The topic is weekend activities, sports, and snow.
Oh, hi there, Maria.
Hi!
How was your weekend?
Fantastic! What about yours?
Pretty good. I watched my son's soccer tournament in the snow.
And it's supposed to be like that next weekend, according to the forecast.
Same old, same old. Well, have a nice day.
You too.
The second small talk example is between two Hispanic employees working in Canada. They are friendlier and touch more often than the people in the previous scene, and they are using their own style of humor and proverbs.
Carlos, how are you? Good to see you.
Not too bad. What a weekend. Dealing with my crazy kids, the weather, not looking forward to the pile of work I got waiting for me.
You'll survive. What doesn't kill you will make you stronger, my friend.
Yes, but you know what they say. If I die at my desk, you'll know I didn't have the strength after all.
Both these examples are acceptable in Canadian workplaces. People are used to a range of small talk, ranging from very formal to very informal. But to fit into your new workplace, it's important to listen to how people do small talk there and find ways you can contribute.
Tip number 2 is about leadership and initiative. For the first scene, you will see a boss asking an employee to take the initiative to put something quite complex together.
Well, Jasmine,
Hi.
I'd like you to come up with a plan to reorganize our front office protocols. Our surveys are telling us that we're losing clients because of issues at the front desk. Can you come up with a plan?
Sure, I can do that.
Super. Thank you.
I'll just have to stall so he doesn't know I have no clue what I'm doing.
How's that plan coming along?
Fine. Still working on it.
Jasmine, it's been 3 days and I haven't even seen your notes on the project. What's the hold-up?
The employee was embarrassed to tell the boss that she did not have any idea how to start on his request. So instead of asking for help, the employee kept avoiding saying anything to the boss. This is usually a problem for Canadian employers. Here's the scene again, showing how the employee is taking initiative.
Jasmine, I'd like you to reorganize the front office protocols. Our surveys are telling us that we're losing clients because of issues at the front end. Can you come up with a plan?
You seem quite worried about this.
Yes, I am. I'm not sure what to do about it, but you might be the right person to come up with a plan because of your previous experience in your home country.
Sure, well, I can do that for you, but I'm not quite sure where to start. Would you be able to point me in the direction of someone who could show me, or would you be able to give me some tips or points?
Check the survey results. Pay attention to the customer complaints, the most common complaints, and the most frequent suggestions.
I can do that. Can I check back with you later on to make sure that I'm on track, or that I'm doing what's most important to you?
Sure, and if I seem busy, keep pestering me.
For sure. Thank you.
You see, the employee does not have to lose face if she doesn't know how to do something. In the example you just saw, the employee started out by focusing on the boss's need by noticing he was worried. Then, she checked in a few times until she had a better idea what the boss was looking for. The final good idea was to ask if there could be checkpoints for feedback. Taking initiative does not mean doing something crazy. It just means you need to take responsibility for figuring out what needs to be done and then take it in small steps until you can do it.
Tip number 3 is about understanding and accepting constructive criticism.
Criticism in Canadian workplaces can come in a few forms. The standard one is the feedback sandwich. The person who wants you to change something will say,
"Maria, we really value your contributions here."
that was the slice of bread on the bottom of the feedback sandwich.
"And we really want to see you succeed."
This is a warning that you're doing something wrong. Wait for it to become more clear. This would be the lettuce or the tomato in your sandwich.
So if you hand in these documents with no missing fields or run-on sentences, that would be best for everyone.
This is the meat or the cheese in your feedback sandwich. In case you missed it, Your supervisor is fed up that you are handing in incomplete and poorly written documents. If you do it again, there will be consequences.
So to summarize, this is a quality control issue, and you know where I'm coming from.
Here is the hot mustard part. It's telling you not to make that mistake again, or you will not be a good fit for the company, and that could be a problem for your career.
We do appreciate all you have accomplished here, and we always tell our shareholders what great staff we have.
This is the top slice of bread on your sandwich. The cultural logic is to start and end positive. Put the negative stuff in the middle, but make it seem less negative between the two slices of positivity bread.
This criticism is very confusing to most newcomers and is easily misinterpreted. People wonder if they were being asked to do something or not, if they were making a mistake or being complimented. You may need to ask, so are you asking me to pay closer attention to the details of forms and check them over for missed fields and run-on sentences before handing them in? Your supervisor will then answer you more directly.
The second way you could receive criticism is more direct.
Maria, this document was not completed properly. There are missing fields and run-on sentences. Please redo it immediately, and I expect future documents to be without error.
You may be surprised and perhaps hurt at the directness of this critique, but the response from you should be the same. Ask for clarification. So, are you asking me to pay closer attention to the details of forms and check them over for missed fields and run-on sentences before handing them in?
Whether you are confused, happy, or hurt from job-related criticism, always look past the criticism to what task you need to improve. Then, clarify what is being asked of you.
We hope these scenes are useful to you in understanding some of the interpersonal skills required to work successfully in Canada. You can read Nick Naranni's complete tip list and answer the questions in the following exercise.
So now I'm going to go back to sharing the screen from where I was before. And the reason that this is a useful video is because it's got three very distinct things that people need to know when they come to Canada. Now, Nick Naranni talks about 9 of them in his document, but we just picked 3 and then illustrated them with some examples. Now, it's a little bit longer than most of our other videos are, so you might want to cut it into the 3 different examples when you're showing it. So, and there's nothing wrong with that. You can take whatever section is most useful for you. But these are 3 problems that people run into quite regularly, and what we tried to show was a range of experience and a range of normal so that people can fit what their experience is into what would be considered normal and make an appropriate decision. So if you look at the questions underneath, we've got what was useful about this clip to you or surprising. And that's a really good opening question to find out what is small talk? Do you have small talk in your country? Is it different than the small talk in Canada? What are the leadership initiative expectations in Canada? In your home country, are they like that or are they different? Have you ever felt anxious about taking initiative? What does that mean when people ask you to take initiative? So all of those, these are great, all of them are really great questions, but it might be too much in one shot. So you can divide this video into 3. And also remember the download, which is quite useful. So now I'm going to show you a different one. And this one is an animation. It's quite a bit shorter. And this is about offering timely feedback when you're an employee, because a frequent mistake that newcomers make is they don't give feedback, especially if they've made a mistake. They just keep trying to hide it because they're worried that they might lose their job or that they'll lose face or that they'll be called up in front of the company or something horrible like that might happen. So they don't say anything until they absolutely have to. And by then, lots of problems could have happened. And so this whole idea of letting people know in advance as soon as you've made a mistake and then probably letting them know what you've done to try to correct it already would be the expected norm. So let's look at this one. And we will, again, share the screen. And then when it comes up, you get a chance to see, this is an animation that starts quietly so that you don't be surprised if there's no sound initially, and then there's some voiced pieces in the middle. So what not to do is do not tell your manager, about a mistake too late, right? And it could be seen as dishonest.
This mistake happened last week. I just remembered to tell you.
What is this about? I don't remember.
I should have told you sooner, but I'm always so busy.
So instead, what you can do is tell your manager about the mistake as soon as possible, offer a way to correct the mistake or ask for advice. And if your manager asks you to correct it, do ask if it needs to be done urgently, and if there's no procedure, either create one or ask for one.
Did you check for errors on that last file, like I showed you?
Right. I'm not in the habit of doing that yet.
You will be. Just remember to use the list I gave you.
So again, in this one, this gives you a little bit of a productivity strategy, which is if you don't have a list, ask for one or make one to make sure that you're giving feedback in an appropriate way. And that sounds odd because you would think that feedback is just talking to people, but it's giving feedback on your job. And one of the reasons why this is important is I was speaking to a few newcomers, actually 3 quite recently within the past couple of months, who lost their job within the first 3 months. And when I probed a little bit deeper to find out what happened, each of them said, I saved up my work to show after the 3-month the 3-month probation period. I saved my work to show it to my manager later, and there were some mistakes in it and some things that needed clarification. And of course, by then it was too late. So they didn't have a procedure to show their work to their manager, and they were afraid of going and disturbing the manager. And if they would have done that, they probably would not have lost their job. So let's go on to a new one. And so here is another one. Now this is the most controversial video we have in VideoStack. And I'm bringing it up now to show you how you can use it, because it's actually quite useful, but you have to do a lot of explaining. Now, when we first started creating this one, we thought, it would be fun to put it into the context of a television show like Crime Stoppers. So we took Crime Stoppers and we created a situation that would show newcomers what would be considered a crime, a communications crime in Canada. And it all backfired. And the reason it backfired is because people thought that we were showing them that this is an actual crime for which they could be arrested. They did not understand that it is not a crime, that it was supposed to be a humorous approach to communication in the workplace. So you would need to explain that to people, say this is a TV show. You might even need to show them a little clip of a TV show that's a Crime Stoppers style TV show and say it's based on this kind of a TV show, but this is supposed to be a humorous way to talk about communication in the workplace. So what's inside the video is really valuable, but you really need to frame it properly for context if you want to use this one. And you might want to when you see it. So I'm going to show it to you. This one also has music and all sorts of stuff.
Welcome to WCO-TV's Canadian Communications Crime, a show where viewers see communication crimes in Canadian workplaces and hone their own skills to solve them.
We are your hosts for the show today, and we'll get you started on your crime-solving journey. So take out your mobile devices or your paper and pen and get ready.
Canadian Communications Crime number 1 is Tuesday. At 10 in the morning, Mr. Sanchez was discovered to have spent an entire team meeting without making any contributions to the board table discussion. When asked, what would you recommend to solve our quarterly dip in revenue, Mr. Sanchez replied, "I'm certainly experts on this topic will have more important things to say about it than I would." Crime solvers, how many of these Canadian communication crimes did Mr. Sanchez commit? A. Not taking individual initiative. B. Refusing to collaborate on group problem solving. C. Being on time. D. Participating in self-improvement classes. Or E. Not sharing a personal opinion when requested. The answers are not taking individual initiative, refusing to collaborate on group problem solving, and not sharing a personal opinion when requested. In Canada, Canadian employees are expected to contribute to problem-solving sessions. Those who do not are seen as either incompetent, too shy to be promoted, or lacking in initiative. Viewers, how did you do? Great? Well, now here's the next crime scene.
Canadian communications crime number 2. Mrs. Popov is a recently arrived international trained worker from Russia. Yesterday, she was observed by our communications crime team speaking to her upper management in the following manner. "I believe the system we are using is inefficient and requires new technology. After considering all the people working here in my area, I have come to the conclusion that I alone have the expertise to address this issue and can begin the work immediately." Crime solvers, how many of the Canadian communication crimes did Mrs. Popov commit? A. Going directly to her upper management with a suggestion for improvement. B. Speaking too directly and confrontationally to a superior. Or C. Implying that the company's system was not good enough and suggesting she had the expertise to solve it when she had not been with the company long enough to establish her credibility. D. Showing lack of modesty. Or E. Not respecting the team she was working with. Or finally F. Appearing impolite. The answers are all of the above. In comparison to Canadians, Russians are more direct and strong in their verbal style. It is true that Canadians expect clear and direct answers, but there is a hidden expectation that you will present your ideas to the right person, at the right time, and in the right tone. Additionally, although legally there is gender equity in Canada's workplaces, many male superiors are threatened by overly confident women, especially if they do not show respect for their team and appear confrontational. It is very important to Canadians to be seen as being diplomatic, polite, and modest about one's abilities. Direct answers to direct questions are valued, but being too direct with initiatives, especially to a superior, is considered rude.
So, crime scene sleuths, how did you do on this one?
So that's all I'm going to show you of this one. There's just a little bit left, but I wanted to so you can see why this could be a problem because of the context, and it's too bad we put all that effort into filming it before we tested it out on a few people. Most of the other videos come directly from people's experiences, but these ones we took the experiences and put them into a context which ended up being a little bit strange, but it's still really useful information, and if you can explain it properly, you can find a way to use it. So I am now going to take you to a final video that I'll show you for this time, and we can take it from there. So let's look at this one. Hold Or should we look at this one? Yeah, let's look at, actually, we can probably do both of them. So this one is about how to offer corrective feedback. So, and it shows both the employer perspective and also the employee perspective. So the same principles apply. So if you need to correct somebody or you need to point out that there's a mistake, how do you do that? And so we're just going to look at that one next. Let's try that again. There we go. Okay. So when you're offering corrective feedback, you don't want to show anger or negative emotions, either when you're giving it or receiving it. Why? Because it has negative effects on the working relationship with people.
This is a mistake. You should be more careful in the future.
What is the problem? Can you explain?
This column, the numbers don't work halfway down.
So they're both were showing anger. Instead, you can keep a calm voice and don't show irritation or impatience, and point out the mistakes in a way that doesn't make the other person feel inferior or ashamed. And remember, you're correcting an issue, not a person.
Halfway down this column, the numbers are not making sense to me.
What is the problem exactly?
Let's trace it back.
So there you've got a situation that where both are showing impatience and irritation with each other in their tone, and then when you see the second way, they're both being patient and trying to find a way to work together to solve the problem without anybody losing face. So let's just look at the questions for this particular one. And so here, one of the questions is, what are expected ways to correct a problem in the Canadian workplace? So that based on this, you're going to have some ideas, but it's a good discussion question to bring out. And if people don't know, you can add some more. And what do you think could happen if you try to correct a problem in a way your employer isn't expecting? And what can you do if your manager does not correct problems appropriately and you feel upset about it? And we have 2 more videos about that particular issue, about how to deal with your emotions and how to come back and deal with the issue even if you feel upset. So that's something to keep in mind. Okay, so we have one more that I'd like to show you. And then that will be it for today. Just a second. So let's do... This is practicing assertiveness with an uncooperative boss. Now, we don't have a lot of stuff on assertiveness in the video library. We're probably going to be adding some more later, but it's something that comes up really regularly. A lot of newcomers say, I don't know how to be assertive. I need to be assertive in order to succeed here. And they think that assertiveness means being rude or doing things in ways that they would feel culturally really uncomfortable doing it. So this is an example of someone who's not happy with his particular job situation, and he is bringing this back to the boss in a firm way, but he's not insulting about it. So this is something that we can look at. And let's share the screen for that.
Sonia, I have been working here for 2 years, and I could do this work in my sleep.
Are you saying you aren't challenged enough?
Yes, I have already spoken to you about it. What I'm doing was entry-level work back home.
I'll see what I can do.
I don't mean to be disrespectful, Sonia, but you said that 6 months ago.
So here, you can tell he's definitely frustrated. He's escalated his tone. And the reason he's escalated his tone is because he's already brought this up several times. So there is an appropriate time to escalate your tone. Like in the last clip, it was about keeping everything really low key. But in this one, we're looking at when is it a right time to escalate your tone a little bit and show that this is a situation is not acceptable to you. So he is explaining that he does not want to be dealing with this anymore. He's been waiting for a long time to move out of the entry-level position. And so if he doesn't get results from his boss this time, what could he do? Which is where this can lead to a discussion. What are his alternatives if it's not working out? So let's move that back. So if you look at the questions, is supportive, oh, sorry, this is the wrong one. I'm going to have to make sure I change that because there's supportive feedback in there. That shouldn't be there. Okay. Good thing I showed the video so I can correct any mistakes that come up. All right, so the question should be about practicing assertiveness with the boss. And I'm going to go in and fix these right after I finish this video so that you see what they are. They're supposed to be, the questions are supposed to be things like, have you ever been in a situation where you were frustrated with your job and you couldn't get a good answer from a superior? What did you do? And then the next question would be, you know, if you're having trouble dealing with an issue with your immediate manager, what are your options in Canada, and what would your options be in your home country? So it's always a good idea to get people to compare so that they can try and figure out what the difference would be. So we're going to add those correct questions in there and make sure it's there. So that's all I wanted to show you today. It's a cluster of videos. And it really helps to watch the videos together with somebody so that you get an idea of what you could do and how you could use them. And like I said, every month we're going to do a featured cluster, and next month we'll do a new one. And if there's some topics that you particularly want to know, it's a good idea to email me those topics, marie@shiftworkplace.com. And you can also put into the chat box any of your ideas that you're interested in so that we can make sure we're meeting your needs and keeping everything lively. Next time we're going to show you a little bit from the Ask Marie selection and also from the webinar selection that we have for you. And the two new sections that are going in, one is about bullying in the workplace and the other one is about employer best practices. So we're going to put those sections in and feature some of the videos in next month's featured video section. So look forward to that. Watch your emails, and we will be putting chat box questions every week into the discussion box in Multilingual Video Stack so you can answer them. And if you bring a friend to this, we will enter your name in the draw for free 30-minute coaching session. If you would like to have a 30-minute coaching session on any workplace or personal issue you would like to discuss, you could be entered into the draw for that. We choose one at every time there is a group of people on one of these monthly video sessions. So looking forward to seeing you on the next month's session. It's going to be always the last Friday of the month. So make sure you mark that in your calendar, last Friday of the month at 12 noon Mountain Standard Time. And mark that in your calendar and make sure that you're there, and we'll also send you emails about it to remind you. So have a great day.